Hi, everybody. Jean Humbrecht with Humbrecht Law, criminal and traffic defense attorney in Manassas, Virginia. Welcome to our first local business spotlight in November. This month's theme is getting your first book written. And today we have a very special guest, Russ McIntosh. Russ McIntosh is the owner, that's the proper word, I guess,
Yeah.
of Vision Idea Design. They are an all-inclusive graphic design firm. They do everything from logos to websites to book covers everything. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Russ. First, I met Russ through the Central Fairfax Chamber of Commerce. I have to give them a shout out, and Jennifer Rose. It's an awesome organization, awesome people. That's how I met Russ, and Russ actually did the layout of my book. So Russ is going to tell everybody a little bit about his business, and then we'll get into today's topic, which is focused all around self-publishing a book and all the different processes that encompasses. So Russ, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thanks, Jean. So yeah, as Jean mentioned, we're an all-inclusive graphic design firm here in Fairfax City. We help with everything from your logo design to your branding to your trade shows. Well, not too many trade shows these days, but we help out in other ways, with whether it's your website or doing gala books or promotions, anything visually or graphic design you can think of. That's where we can help you out and make you beautiful. That's what we do. We make people, their companies, stand out and be awesome. What we did with Jean was very, very cool, because there was a lot of different collaborators involved, and it was really fun to work with, like my friend Troy. I think he's going to be on the podcast in a couple weeks. Troy is another great designer, and he did a fabulous design on the job. But as far as my background, I started publishing over 1990, so over 20 years ago. And I started out with a comic book publishing company, and we published comic books. So I knew I wasn't a fast enough artist to be an artist, but I had a lot of stories to tell. And so I teamed up with another friend, and we went to a couple Comic Cons, and at the Comic Cons they're like, yeah, you're not going to work for DC or Marvel. You need to start your own company and prove yourself. Then Marvel and DC will hire you. So we made our own book. We created our own company, and we had a science fiction fantasy thing going on. Oh, there's our logo, Labyrinth Entertainment. That was in 1999. Yeah, 20 years ago. Wow. Me and David Bove, because of somebody else mentioned, publish your own stuff. We delved into it, and we figured out what we need to do. What do the publishers need from our end on how to set up files? And from there, me and Dave published our first book. And then we had other friends who were like, can you help us publish books? And I was like, yeah, I can help out. I like helping out friends. And then we ended up having, right before I disbanded Labyrinth Entertainment, we had 12 books that we were publishing monthly. Every month was a different book. And it was different writers, different publishers, or not publishers, different writers, different authors. And it was a comic book series. And it was a monthly basis. And we were able to do that because of the knowledge that I had gained from the 4 or 5 years of publishing our first book to going to graphic novels, and we have all sorts of cool stuff that we used to do 20 years ago. But then family comes along, and you got to take care of family, and hobbies get put aside to the side, even though hobbies were making money. And that knowledge still goes along with you. Even when I was working with other organizations like the FDA News, I was the head graphic designer for the Food and Drug Administration news organization based in Falls Church. And the knowledge that I had with the comic book industry fell in with the printing industry of newspapers and the Falls Church, or the Food and Drug Administration news. So everything kind of goes in line with how my company has grown and how I've grown as an artist. Is we started out with little comic books, and then it's gone on from there and gone on. 25 plus years later, I've got vision, idea, design. There we go. And I've got a couple of great graphic designers on my staff. I have several great illustrators. We have people that do specializing in typography. So we have a really good firm here with Vision Idea Design here in Fairfax City. So helping out friends with their books is a great thing, especially during COVID. People were occupied and wanted to write their first thing. A great example is my friend Nabila. She originally had designed this activity book for her granddaughters and stuff. Let's see when it's swaying in. And well, I helped her upgrade it. She had been to one of our 1 million cups, and so we're going from this design to a more upgraded design. And it's all about how you want to present yourself. Do you want to look like flip art, or do you want to look like something a teacher's going to buy off the shelf? So that's little things that we help out with, and it's just some of the things that we love doing at Vision Idea Design. It's being able to help the whether it's an activity book or your own oral history of life guidance, like John Neral. I helped John Neral just recently with his book. And then, Gene, I just helped you with your book, which gives you common sense statistics and everything. Of these are the things you need to do. My son actually just recently got a traffic ticket. I gave him this book. This is what you have to do. Don't increase our insurance. And
that book that Russ is holding up, that's the book that I wrote. And Russ actually did the layout for that book. Russ was actually a big help. I want to talk more about the whole layout process, because when you write your first book, well, I thought I had done my research, but there are always things that pop up, things that you don't think about, like designing the book cover. It seems obvious, but you don't think about that in the beginning. The layout of the book, are you going to have a print version? Or are you going to have an online version? And the layout might be different for both. And could you do all of these things yourself? Sure, we could all learn how to do all of these things, but sometimes it's better to turn it over to the professionals. And that's why I went to Russ. I didn't, this isn't all about me. I'm just talking about my book for a second. We're going to focus on Russ.
Oh, no, I love your book.
But I started the book pre-COVID, and then I actually finished it and published it when we were in the shutdown. It was in August that it actually was published, and Russ was very helpful with the layout. So I don't know what order you want to talk about this in, Russ, because we're talking about self-publishing. I self-published the book on Amazon. And Russ seems to know everything there is about self-publishing on Amazon, but there's so many different facets to it and things that people need to know. So I guess at that point, Russ, I'll turn it over to you, and then we can talk more about the layout and all the individual different parts of that whole process.
Right. So if you're going to go the self-published route, I've had I don't refer to my clients as clients. I refer to them as my friends. So please excuse me if I keep saying my friends. So I have a friend, Colin Nolan. He's a history high school teacher in Prince William County. And about 20 years ago, he wanted to get a book that he wrote published. And at the time, I had already done the comic book work stuff, and I knew how to reach out to the printers. This is long before print on demand and stuff. And I knew who he could go to, that if you want to stockpile your garage with thousands of boxes of your books piled up in your garage, piled on top of each other, yes, you can go to a traditional printer. There's a great printer I use, Berryville Graphics. They're located here in Virginia, North Virginia. Amazing people. They did several of my books, but I also had the garage full of boxes of unsold books. And then in about the 2005s was print on demand started coming about. and you can upload to Amazon or to these various print on design companies. And I used several of them. They were very good for what we needed to get done. They were good for annual reports. They were good for market reports and stuff like that, for business oriented. But get your book out to the masses, you need something more than the print on demand. And around that time is when Barnes and Noble and Kindle Direct Publishing started, and the late 2000 teens, and that's when more self-publishing started coming more regular and more accessible to the regular person. So you no longer needed to have this history of working with this publisher and working with that publisher. Now you can just publish your own books with these print on demands. So each of them have their own little demographics. So you can't just upload a Word document to these print on demands, or even nowadays with your Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Apple Play and Google Play. All of them have certain formulas that they need the layout of your book of let's see, let me get in focus. Of like how bullet points go and how your chapter heading lines up and simple things like that. Each one of them has their own nuances that they have to do and their own software. And that's a lot of stuff that you have to learn. Because I want it on Barnes and Noble, because I want it on Amazon, and I want it on Apple Play and Google Play and all those. Each of them have their own schematics. But within that, you have to be able to set up another printed version. So you have your ebook version, which is like 4 different versions for all of those. Then you have your printed versions, which are like several different versions as well. It's a lot of work, but as long as you have somebody that knows the ins and outs of it, like I've been doing it for over 25 years. So I know what certain printers want, and I've already got like templates set up. This is Barnes and Noble. This is Amazon. This is local quick copy print if I just want to print up some quick books. So it all depends on how you want to pursue your self-publishing. Do you want to be on the top 10? Well, then you need to strategize. Like my buddy John Yarrell was trying to get on the top 10 for the self-help. So he couldn't publish on Barnes & Noble, and he couldn't publish on Apple Books, and he could only do it on Amazon to be on the top 10 Amazon self-help books. And so that's things you have to consider if you want to get higher up in the ranking scheme. And do you want to be the top seller, or do you just want to get the information out there? When I was publishing comic books, I would print up hundreds of books, and just to get it out there, and it would cost me thousands of dollars. Well, nowadays, like the activity book, this book would cost about $25 in the bookstore, but because we're able to do it through Amazon, we are able to lower the costs, and so Nabila is able to have it at an affordable price for bookstores to purchase directly from Nabila for her activity book. And that's one of the great things is when you're involved with Amazon or Barnes & Noble, if you are their specific author group, then you can sign up and be in their top 10, and they will promote you. They will help you out. I know like I said, my friend John tried doing it for a little bit, and he was popular, but at the time it was COVID and not much was going on, and it was summertime, and it was just circumstances. Gene, I don't think you've gone that route, but when you want to promote yourself, it all depends on how much you want to put in. It's kind of a DIY aspect of how punk rock you want to be. Is do I want to be just the local scene, or do I want to go national? If I want to go national, I need to have more marketing. It can't just be just the one aspect. Or do I just want to be local in the Northern Virginia, Eastern Shore, from New York to Florida?
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on what you want to do and your aspect and your goal, your overall goal. Do you just want to like help your network? And like, these aren't books that I've published, but these are friends of mine that, oops, there we go. Tactical Income. So he just prints these off when he does speaking engagements. And so he gives these out free as part of the admission. And it's freaking great advice. But part of your admission of seeing Jeff speak is you get a copy of his book. And that's another way to help promote your books, help get things out there. You've already book, you can definitely speak about it, can't you?
Right. Well, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that. We're talking about promoting and being in the top 10 and all that stuff. Because I know, Russ, you and I had a conversation about this because I was a little bit confused because there's different terms that Amazon uses. And first, is it just Amazon that does this, or do the other publishing companies?
No, Barnes and Noble does it as well.
Okay.
As far as I know, Apple and Google do not do that. Prioritize, whatever. They don't do it as Amazon and Barnes and Noble, because Amazon and Barnes and Noble, I'm trying to figure out my hands. They're the two entities that are trying to compete against each other. And so if you promote on Barnes and Noble, you can't promote on Amazon and so forth. And those are the only two that I know that do that proprietary thing of, if you're the author, you have to only publish with us. Amazon does that and Barnes and Noble. But if you want to go through Google or the Apple Store, you can definitely sell your ebooks through there as well. And that's the difference is, do you want to just do ebooks or do you want to do printed books as well?
So what is more popular? Are people buying more of the ebooks, or is it kind of a mix? What do you think?
Well, because I've seen the ebbs and flows. I've noticed like 5 to 10 years ago, people were definitely on the Google Nooks and the Kindles and all their different reading devices. But within the last 3 to 4 years, not as much anymore. You don't go to the cafe and seeing people reading their Kindles. They're back to reading their Google, their email, and back to doing their research. And they're not reading books at the cafe anymore. Because I remember going to the local coffee shop, and they're not looking at email. You can see these people are reading, scrolling their Kindles or their books. They're reading a book at the coffee shop. I don't see that as much anymore. I see more people focused on business, and I see more of getting that book knowledge in the printed format. More people are getting knowledge from the actual printed book than they are from the ebooks. That's just me and my 100 and so friends that commute on the metro. So instead of reading on their phones, they've gone back to reading the actual books. So instead of reading their e-Kindle books on their phone, they're now reading the physical books. And it's just been the kind of resurgence. It's like, okay, we did the technology-based thing for a couple years. We do like the handheld physical copies. We do like being on the metro like this, devouring a book. And when you're riding the metro, you're like, ooh, what book are they reading? Oh, that's pretty cool. That's just my observance in the last couple of years.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. One of the last times that I remember reading a novel, like pleasure reading, when I had time for that, besides at the beach, was when I used to take the metro every day to work. I was reading Pride and Prejudice, and I actually never finished it because I read a couple pages here and there, and then I forgot where I was. But yeah, I mean, that was me. I was doing that. I was just I didn't want to read like anything on my computer or a tablet.
No, I wanted a printed copy.
Yeah.
People are definitely going back to that. I definitely believe it. there's something about opening up a book and smelling the new freshness of it. It's nostalgia, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's interesting though. So, well, that's what people are reading. Is that how most people are publishing? Are most people publishing print books, or are they publishing both?
A lot of people are trying to do well, everybody that I've associated with, we do both. We do the print and we do the ebooks as well. Because it helps just increase it, because there are those people that want to pay the $1.99 or the 99 cents for the ebook as opposed to $7.99, $10.99 for the actual printed copy. I do have friends that still do that method, but I think that your best modus operandus is to do both. There's I mean, you already have the files already kind of set up. It's just one more step to readapt to the ebook version. I mean, granted, me as the designer, I'm like, oh, it's just a click and click and click. But I know as the layman, it's a lot more complicated because you have to readjust, especially like on Barnes and Noble, because they do the portrait ebook thing as opposed to like Amazon can do it this way or that way. Barnes and Noble only does it this way, so you got to truncate your pages, and that gets into the typography and the interior layouts of how do you readjust the chapter headings and the bullet points and the page numbers and stuff. And that's, I guess, the next discussion.
Yeah, and that's actually a good segue, because I will tell everybody about my plight. I did not realize it was, like I said, I just didn't think about these things. And I thought that when I uploaded my text, my document to Amazon, that everything was just gonna look right. Or, I could just do, a space, like hit enter here and there. No, not like that at all. Chapter headings were like in the middle of a page. Charts were like going, dragging from one page to another page. It was just a disaster. And then I would go through and try to fix it myself, but I would try to fix it in the original document and then upload it. And I was just like, I'm done. I'm calling Russ. So I just kind of wanted to explain to people, because if you've never published a book, and this is the first book that I've published, it's not just you upload it and it's done. You upload it, but the way that your Microsoft Word or whatever you're using goes into their format, it's not gonna look like a book. It doesn't just automatically translate, which you wish that it would. The table of contents was just, everything was just not where it was supposed to be. The page numbers and the tops, where I wanted them. It just wasn't where I wanted it to be. So I'm just trying to explain that to people. Anyone out there that's never written a book or thinking about writing a book, it's not just click, click, boom, you're done. No, you have to either know how to do this layout or hire somebody to help you do it, like Russ. And Russ knew exactly what to do. I told him some of the things that I wanted. In response to that, he told me a few things shouldn't be done that way because of X, Y, and Z. And I said, okay, great. You're the expert. Let's do it your way. But it was great. And it was a really quick turnaround. And I'm very happy with it. And it took
2 weeks.
Yeah, I think less. It took a huge load off my shoulders. But I don't know if I'm doing a good job of articulating to people.
No, you're doing a great job. But I just want to point out certain things like, oh my goodness, the table of contents. I remember when you first came to me, you tried getting somebody else to help you, and it just didn't work, and nothing lined up. And you're like, Russ, can you fix this? And I asked you to send me your original Word document that you already have your chapter headings and where your bullets are at. So I know visually of what you're looking for. But changing an 8.5 by 11 into a 6 by 9 is totally different. And like the table of contents, we had to get that just set up just right. And it actually, she put it in as one page, and I think we ended up having to use 2 pages for the table of contents. Oh, sorry, trying to get this lighting. There we go. And then the other cool thing is like she has graphs and she has like graphs and cool shit stuff. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And
I'm not going to edit it.
Yeah, she's got really good stuff in there of like they're all bulleted out and they're there for a rhyme and a reason. And certain things are underlined and certain things are italicized for a reason. And when you try to import just the basic Word document into Amazon, it goes and makes it all the same thing. And then you have to go in and try to readjust it. I know how to put it into Amazon so that I showed you proofs. We were sending PDFs back and forth. I'm like, is this the layout that you want? Is this how you want your title to be? Is this how you want your pages to be on the bottom and so forth? And we went back and forth several times of, is this correct? Is this correct? And so forth. And it is a mutual thing. It's your book, but I need to make you look pretty. And I know how to do that. And that's the great thing about hiring people that you know what they're doing is like you had certain chapter headings that had to be certain centered and then others that could be this way and that and certain bullet points. You can't just upload a Word document. You actually need to know what you're doing. It's you need to know what you're doing. You do need to hire a professional.
You really do.
Yeah.
Because
because you did really good up until you got to me. You had everything in place up until then.
Yeah. And that's actually a very important part, though, because you could have the best, most well-written book that there ever was, but if it's not, if it looks all jacked up when you print it, nobody's going to think it's a good book. So, right. I mean, the layout is really important. And then something I didn't think about until I was actually in the process of doing the layout, the name of the book on the upper left-hand side, when you open the book, the name on the upper left-hand side inside on a page, and then on the right side, the name of the chapter.
Yeah.
And then, I didn't think about that. And I was like, how am I going to be able to do this? I tried doing it in the header and I was like, nope, I'm just not even going to bother. Yeah. But Russ knew exactly what I wanted. See, like up there in the upper left-hand side, it's kind of blurry, but that's the name of the book on the upper left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, it is the name of the chapter, but that's actually the first page of the chapter. So that's why you don't see it. Russ, can you turn the page? And that was another thing I said on the first page of the chapter, should I have the name of the chapter up there?
Right.
All these little things.
And there's like little things like, you don't just end a paragraph by itself. So we had a couple things run over, and instead of just leaving one word, this is the typography thing. I added 3 sentences. I kind of buffed up the page before so that the one word left on that page wasn't by itself. So I kind of fluffed up these 2 pages on their spacing and their kerning and typesetting. Different things you guys probably don't understand, but I made it meatier so that we didn't have what we call an orphan, which is one word sitting by itself on an only page. And we never want to have that in design or so like if we just had this book sitting by itself on this one page by itself, it doesn't look good. But we fluffed out the page before and added 2 more sentences. So it makes more sense to have that there. And then we go into the next chapter. And then there was a couple times where you mentioned that we had a blank page. And that's kind of the same thing of, we have a blank page. Why? Because the previous chapter ended halfway through the page. And so when you start a new page, publishing wise, you always want to start on the right hand side and start there and go down. So then we have a blank page, and then we start the chapter on the right hand side. And that's something Gene wasn't aware of. It's something people are not aware of generally when publishing, but it's those things that as publishers, as designers, we're very aware of, and it's how we make your books beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And we don't think about that when we're doing the whole writing process. We just our first concern is,
yeah.
What am I going to write about? And does this look good? Does this sound good? So once you actually have your content, which you think is the hardest part, then there are all these other things. There where are you going to publish it to? You know, are you going to participate in these programs where you have to exclusively limit your book to one publisher so that you can be like a top seller? And then the layout, obviously, like I said, I mean, you spent all this time writing the book. You want it to actually look good. The cover, you know, and that's another thing. Maybe we can talk about covers, because like I didn't realize, you know, that depending on how big your book is, I wanted to have the name of my book on the side of the book, but the spine might not have been big enough. You
Correct.
see, so that was the thing I didn't think about, because when I'm writing it, like me, the writer, I'm no writer. I'm a lawyer who wrote a book. You know, I don't know how big it's gonna look when it actually is published. You know, so for me to try to envision these things, and this is what I want, and yeah, you really do need somebody who knows, you know, how the cover is going to kind of flow from the front to the spine to the back. And I know, Russ, you design book covers, so do you want to maybe talk about that?
Yeah, and actually I'm trying to line up a couple of spines for you. All right, so let's see if we can get the spines in there. All right, so we got 3 different books. We got the Launchpad, we have Show Up, and then you can't see the spine on that one. Mm-hmm. That's because that book is too skinny to print on that spine. The way a printer prints, they have about 1/8 of an inch margin that and go to one side or the other, and it can mess up whether your spine is on the back cover or on the front cover, or on the front cover or on there. So if it's a really thin book, like I think this is 32 pages. So this is a 32-page book. It's too skinny for a spine. Mm-hmm. But like yours, we ended up having to do 120. I remember you originally said, oh, it's only 90 pages. I'm like, no, it's not 90 pages once I get done with it. And yeah, we ended up doing 124 pages. And that is thick enough to put the spine on. It just depends on the thickness of the book. I'm trying to look at some of my samples over here. And yeah, the 1/8 inch is just not happening. But everything about a 1/2 inch, which is about 100 pages. 100 pages, we can put the spine on there and so forth. So yeah. You also have to consider that. How thick do you want your book? How big? So.
And that's one thing that I'm sure people who've never written a book before don't think about in the beginning. I didn't think about the spine, but when I was done writing it, I knew that I wanted the name of my book to be on the side, because when you put it on a bookshelf, I want people to be able to see it. So, so I was like, oh no, I hope my book is big enough, you know?
Oh. And also, if you're doing the self-publishing method, please make sure you put the spine facing the right direction so it's not flipped when you put it on your bookshelf. It kind of looks weird because you have all your books all doing a 90-degree angle for their title, so like this. But then I've noticed some designers, quote unquote, don't know what they're doing and they spin it the wrong way. And it kind of looks awkward on your bookshelf when you have titles going right, or right. And then you have the one going just left, and it's kind of upside down, and OCD, it looks weird.
Yeah.
because most publishers always publish to the 90 degrees this way, but it's easier for a designer to flip it that way.
Oh.
Ah.
I don't know if I've ever seen a book that had.
Oh, I've seen quite a few with the spines facing the wrong way. Yes, I've seen quite a few.
Oh, I would be so upset if my book came that way. When my book came in the mail,
I wish I could talk to the author. I wish I could talk to the author and fix it for them.
Well, that author must not be happy.
Well, see, and then they're not aware. So they probably only have their own copies, and it's not sitting on a shelf with Sherlock Holmes and Count of Monte Cristo, and actually my Labyrinth of the Mind. This is my book. I want that sitting on the shelf next to Count of Monte Cristo. Yeah, and I want it to face the right way, but a lot of people, I've seen it numerous times. It's faced on the wrong way, and it's an upside down book.
This is why you're on the show, Russ, because we need to tell people these things. I didn't even know that was even a thing. I didn't know that somebody that a book would be published and somebody would not notice that the
spine is upside down. And so when you put it on your bookshelf, you actually have to turn your book to read it the correct way. Yeah, I've seen it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Oh, I've been publishing for over 25 years, so I've been to comic book shows. I've been to the book fair up here in DC, where we have the book fair every year. And it's numerous, and it's kind of crazy when you see like Random House do it wrong. It's like, ooh, are they aware of that? And it's only like a one-off, and then like after the next 100 copies, they fixed it because I guess they had an intern or somebody lay out that one book for the first couple issues, and then the printer noticed it and fixed it.
Yeah.
And those are kind of cool if you're into limited edition print books and so forth. I've seen that numerous times.
I want to ask Marsha's question, and I forgot to say, anybody watching, feel free to type a question while we have Russ here. Okay. Anything you want to know about self-publishing or the whole publishing, writing a book process. But Marsha said that she popped in late, so she wasn't sure about the introduction. She asks about any feedback on audiobooks. So Russ, do you have experience with audiobooks?
I actually have a friend that does audiobooks. He hires voice talents and so forth. He has his own company. It's Mindworks, MINEWORX.com. And I don't do it myself, but it's just personal interpretation. Yes, I would love to read some of my books, because like I've got this book called Glimmer. It's a short story that I wrote 20 years ago, and it's just a fun adventure, and it's about a 20-minute read. So I mean, I would love to do a video or an audio of this book. But it's just getting the time and the resources and everything together. It's a lot easier to upload to Amazon or Barnes and Noble or Google or Apple than it is to hire a production crew to do the voiceovers of the reading. Do you have different characters, different actors doing each voice, or is it just going to be one narrator reading it all? Then you have to hire, like my buddy Mike Smith, that can do the audio and adjust the quality of when people keep going and as they're trying to read the book, and you have to snip out those edits, and it's a lot of work. I'd be up for it, but it's time consuming and it's costly. If you have a major publisher backing you, that'd be great. If you have a friend like Mike that you can do on the side on the weekends, that'd be great too. But affordability wise, as an author, I don't think that's a good thing to do self-publishing wise, unless you have the resources within your grasp, like my friend Mike and so forth, or having a publisher like Random House take over.
So I guess she's asking because a lot of people listen to Audible and things like that, which
I do too.
I actually don't. But I mean, yeah, it's an interesting question if you wanted your book available on.
Yeah, Audacity,
Yeah, I
Audibles.
don't know. Does
It's
that
just
actually
another venue. It's
will that
another
lead you
medium.
to
It's
another?
another medium. It's not a print medium. It's not a reading medium.
Well,
So it kind of gets into like your filmography or your uh, video blogs or interviews. It's an auditory and
mhm.
aspect as opposed to a visual aspect.
Now, do you think more people are doing that or listening to audiobooks as opposed to actually reading?
I kind of do both. I listen to books on tape when I'm going to meetings and running around the city. Um, but then when I get home, I've got a Neil Gaiman book that I'm getting ready that I've been reading, and I don't know. It all depends on the person, I guess, and how literary they are. I personally, I love books, so I always have something to read. I sometimes have 2 or 3 different books that I'm reading, but then I also have an Audible that I'm listening to while I'm going to meetings, and it just depends on the person. And it's kind of a weird society that we're in right now that we have this COVID and people are locked down and people can, while they're working at home, put on an audio tape, an audio book, and listen to that as they're doing work and as they're cleaning the house and so forth, because they're in their house all the time. Um, I love it, but it's just another medium to publish your book. So
Mhm.
I guess the next venture would be, what about film? So it's just another medium.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Is there anything else? There's got to be something else. Anything else in the
Mm.
self-publishing process we didn't touch on yet?
Well, I know Troy is going to be talking about this in a couple of weeks, but it's like your cover design.
Hmm.
I know my buddy Troy. We're both graphic designers, and he did a great job on your book. But everybody has a different what they're looking for their book cover. So, like this, obviously, is for a comic book. Obviously, um, this, well, it's a quest. There's a long hallway. It kind of intrigues you. What is in this book? It makes you want to open it up and find out more. Um, and then we have like an activity book. Well, this looks kind of fun. I'll get this for my grandkid. It's I'd rather get this than that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Which book would you buy? I mean, um, you got to think about your book covers and who your target market is. Who are you trying to reach out to? Are you trying to reach out to other businesses and entrepreneurs like John Nero and try to help them and coach them in their path? Are you like Gene and just trying to provide information and help out my friends and everybody and speak about this and go to events and promote this book? Or are you just trying to write your own little short story and get that out there and it's just for me and my friends and family and not really marketing it? Or it all depends on what you're trying to do. And that goes back to your cover design, who your market is, whether you're going to do the ebooks or the printing method, or be on just Amazon and be their top 10, or be on Barnes and Noble as their top 10, or just use all 4 of the outlets out there.
Hmm. Can you talk a little bit about the being on the top 10? Because I know what you're talking about, but I didn't know in the beginning. To be on the Amazon top whatever list, you have to publish exclusively to Amazon.
Yeah.
Can you?
So Amazon and Barnes and Noble are the same kind of setup, and that you have to be exclusive to them. You cannot publish with any other printers, any other publishers, or anything if you're a sole proprietor, independent author. So like John, I had set him up on Barnes and Noble, so probably in about a year he'll be able to publish on there. But for 365 days, he is an Amazon exclusive author, and they kind of help promote him. So there's little caveats that you can pay for, kind of like Facebook ads. Um, and then there's things of just because you are exclusivity, and there are no other like self-help books. So when John published his, there was nobody else publishing a self-help book at that time until like 3 months later. So he was constantly at the top, number one, and he was exclusive to Amazon. And it's great to have that on your record, as your exclamations. But then, is that your sole goal is to have the exclamations, or is it to get out to more people? So like my buddy, oh shoot, his book's over there. So I got another friend, Cullen, I talked about earlier at the beginning of this interview, that when he published his book, he published it to get it out to the masses, as many people as he could. He self-published it and printed up 100 books in his garage. He was available on Amazon and on Barnes and Noble, and at the time, 1 million books. And because of that, he was actually able to raise his worth, and was invited to several book signings and book fairs throughout the country. And to because he was such a top seller in all three of them, as opposed to just the one demographic. And that was just grassroots of him marketing himself, promoting himself, going to this group, this group, and saying, hey, check out my fantasy book. Hey, check out this book. And it's available on here and here and here and here. And he did really, really great with it. And it all depends on what you want to do as an author. How big do you want to get? Do you want to be Stephen King? You can become Stephen King if you market yourself right. You don't have to be exclusive to Amazon or Barnes and Noble. You can do them both and still excel if your marketing skills are correct, or on par and so forth. So it all depends on you. Your personal preference is what I'm saying.
And that's another thing to think about that we didn't even talk about: marketing the book. Once you publish the book, you don't want it just sitting on a bookshelf or sitting on the internet, not even created until somebody orders it and Amazon puts it together. Yeah. And again, I didn't think about that either until I published it. I'm like, well, I gotta try to sell this thing. What am I gonna do?
You've been doing really good, because as you've been doing a lot of speaking engagements and so forth, and you have like your book as part of your write-up as the author of More Than a Fine, and you're doing a great job at that. And because you are all over doing different community events, and you're very involved in the Northern Virginia community, and so it's out there. But then you also have to think about, well, are you going to want to just do Northern Virginia or DMV? Do you want to reach down to the coast, all along the East Coast? Granted, every jurisdiction has different things, but it's how you want to market yourself. So, like the comic book people, they only go my friends that do the little comic books, they just do like the Baltimore Con, the Washington D.C. Amazing Con, and Fredericksburg or something, and that's it. They just do those 3 books, and they do great. They sell out their 100 books or whatever, and they're happy. But do you want to sell 100 books, or do you want to sell 1,000 books, or do you just want to give a copy to your mom? So it also goes back into that marketing aspect. So like the comic book people aren't going to be advertising to the Washington D.C. book fair people that comes around every year. They're just doing the comic book niche people. John is doing the business associations, and everybody has their niche. And then like Nabila with her activity book, she's helping with like the smaller nurseries and whatever groups are in the area of um, uh, helping the stay-at-home moms and teach at home, and that's what her book is about. So she's in a different niche market than all four of you. So it all depends on what you're looking for, what you're trying to do, and who your target is. So whether it's children and stay-at-home moms, or businesses in the Northern Virginia area, or comic books, or so forth, you have to target your market, and that's where you'll get your sales from. So like my comic book people, they make enough sales on their cons that it pays for the year. Nabila has to work at her. She has to get in a couple of schools. You have to do a couple of speaking engagements. John has to do a couple of things. Everybody has to do their own little marketing, their own little niche way of marketing themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's an important point to remember, because my book talks about speeding tickets in Virginia, and I practice in Northern Virginia. So yes, I mean, it doesn't make any sense for me to try to market to people outside of Virginia, or frankly outside of Northern Virginia, because I'm not really going to be going outside of Northern Virginia. But I mean, but John's book, that has a much broader, audience.
Yeah.
Not even nationwide, worldwide. So yeah, it just depends on the topic and who your target audience is, really how you're going to market it, because there's no point in marketing something that's local like mine. People, in California.
Well, great example is my art book. So it's got some of my old artwork in here. Oops, let's see. Some of my old pieces. Let's find something good. He kept showing bad stuff. So I've got some really cool stuff in here, but I'm marketing this on LinkedIn with my business colleagues. I'm marketing this on my art pages that I go to, and the local DMV art scene. This isn't on LinkedIn. This is on my art scene stuff. But then I've got other stuff that I focus on certain demographics. So you have to look at who you're trying to market to. Yeah, I'm sure I'll get 1 or 2 sales if I post this book on LinkedIn, but that's just like nepotism, somebody being a friend and buying it. I actually want people to buy my book because they want to buy it.
Yeah. Well, me too, but yeah, I do.
We all do.
I do appreciate my friends buying the book, and I know who some of you are out there. Thank you. And Russ, I knew that you had written books, but in the past, I had no idea how many, so I need to check all these out.
Well, there's a Book of 5 challenge going on right now on Facebook and Instagram. So I've got 5 books on Amazon if you want to look them up.
What's the challenge?
It's called #5, the number 5, book challenge. And if you've published 5 books as an author, writer, publisher, post your 5 books on like a little collage thing of your 5 books. Let me see if I can find mine. I posted mine a while back.
Russ, you can screen share here. I think you can see a button at the bottom of the screen if you want to show it.
Yeah, it's easier to find it on my phone though. Here we go. No, it's too much glare. But yeah. There we go.
I see it.
There we go. Yeah. There's my 5 books. So my art book, a short story, The Quest, short story, Glimmer, Lucid Choreography is my poems and songs because I used to be in a band, and Labyrinth of the Mind is actually all my comic book work from 20 years ago. So those are my 5 books on Amazon right now, not including books that I've helped other people with. That's another 5.
Well, Russ clearly is the expert here, and I'm so glad that I was able to that I knew Russ and was able to reach out to him, and he was able to help me with the layout of my book, because it did not look the way that it does before Russ got his hands on it. So
No, I was glad to make that so much better for you and less exhaustive for you, because you told me exactly what you wanted, and I did exactly what you needed. And that first proof that I sent you, it sealed the deal. It was like, all right, that's exactly what was in your mind. You wanted this to be there, you wanted that to be there, and so forth. I'm like, all right. To be a designer, you have to be a mind reader too.
I wouldn't say it's a mind reader. It's knowing the right questions to ask, because I might not know the right things to say to you to help you.
Right.
But going through the process, I've learned, and I think by the time I got to you, that I knew a lot, not everything. I knew a lot in terms of like, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. Can we do this? Can we do that? And I think that really helped.
Yeah. Because there were a couple things. Why can't we do that? Because it's publishing, we do not do that. It just does not, aesthetically, it doesn't look right.
Because it is what it is. Sometimes you have to tell people that, and I'm like, okay, you're the expert, so fine. But
right.
Is there anything else about self-publishing we need to talk about?
Is there any other questions? I don't know. It's a lot of work. I can definitely help people out. A friend of mine saw that I posted and helped you with your book, and she has a children's book that's only 16 pages long, and it's text and graphics, and she did all the artwork for it, and it's a little short children's story. I'm looking forward to this. It's only 16 pages long. It's going to be really cute, and I'm looking forward to helping her with that. So it doesn't matter if you're just doing a children's book or a lengthy type-heavy book. We love helping. That's what we do. We love helping you look good.
And Russ definitely made my book look good.
Thank you.
I'm serious, because when I tried to do it myself, it did not look good.
No, and you don't think about those simple things of just the Word document. I got it laid out exactly how I want it in the Word document, but it's not relating. I've got the knowledge and the know-how to make that.
Exactly. So like I would have a big section of a chapter like in bold, and then different subheadings within that underlined, and then subheadings underneath the underline, like italicized or whatever it was that I came.
It was like bullet on bullet on bullet on bullet on bullet. And I was like, what? Okay, all those bullets have to be a different theme. There's a square and a circle and a this and a that, and each of them had to be unique. So, and that's something you don't really think about when you're just typing it out. And it's those things, and like the orphans I talked about earlier, of just ending it on the top of the page. It's just making your book look good for you.
Yeah. So, and that's a really good point, and I can't emphasize more that if you are writing a book, no matter where you're trying to publish it, whether you're trying to sell 100,000 copies or whether you don't care how many copies you sell, it has to look presentable.
It has to be you.
Yes. And so these things are important. The cover design is important. You don't have to spend a ton of money on these things, but there are things that you do need to think about, and that you do need to, and I'm telling you from my experience of writing a book, that it is worth it to pay a person who knows what.
Your book looks awesome with everybody involved. I love like Troy's design. I love his cover design. I'm looking forward to hearing how he came up with that and so forth, because we worked a lot together. So I'm so excited. And everybody working together, even your editor, on making sure hyphenations, like I turned in one review and the hyphens were on, and your editor or somebody fixed that for us. And it's a collaboration to make an author's book.
Oh, that was another thing we didn't talk about. We didn't, but we've already been going an hour. We didn't talk about editing. Maybe another time we can talk about that, because I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, I know.
Editing your own work. I mean, even if you try to take a break and come back with fresh eyes and look at it, there are still things you're not going to notice, and your style. I mean,
It's your voice.
Well, I might read my writing, and edit it 25 times and think that it's great, it makes sense, but then someone else will say it's too formal, or it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, like if that's the style you want, fine, but you need to know how other people are perceiving it, in addition to just proofreading and typos. And I have seen books published with typos.
Yeah, I love those.
But I mean, in our own writing, I mean, I send an email and it has a typo, and I'm mad at myself. Like you miss things. So you need an editor. Again, and this is just my 2 cents. Even if it's not a professional editor, you have to have somebody else look at your writing.
You need a second set of eyes. You definitely need a second set of eyes.
Yeah. But we should talk about that more too, because I know that editors, and John. Everybody that's watching, Russ mentioned John Narrell a few times. John was actually on our Facebook Live, I think back in August. He was talking about his book Show Up. So yeah, we all kind of know each other. And Marvin was on the live a few times.
Love Marvin.
Yeah, Marvin's the best. Yeah. I think I met you. No, I didn't meet you through Marvin. I met you at a chamber event, and I met Marvin.
Either a chamber event or my Fairfax business meetup.
I actually never was able to go to that.
Really? Oh. Well, during COVID, it's not happening. I can't do meetups, so I'm not doing my meetups. I'm not a big fan of the 20 people in the Zooms. I like one-on-ones. But we're not going to resume Fairfax business meetup until this is all over with and so forth. I love the interaction. I love being around people. That's who I am. I'm the cheerleader of Fairfax. So I can't do my Fairfax business meetup until then. But you are doing really great with these with these Wednesdays afternoons. I was talking to Sean Stuckey earlier, and he was talking about one you had like 2 weeks ago. He's like, "Oh yeah, Gene had such and such on. That was a great interview." And you're nailing it, Gene. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, Russ. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you taking the time to come on my little show, whatever it is that you
I appreciate it so much.
Yeah. So I like having my friends on, and I like supporting people that have helped me and support me. And Russ, you have been a huge, if it wasn't for Russ, there would be no book. I'm telling you, people, the book would not exist, because I was ready to throw in the towel.
I know you were. I know you were. You're like pulling your hair out.
Yeah, probably have a few gray hairs from that whole process. But you know what, though? It's because I thought that I knew better, and I was like, oh, it's no problem. I'll be able to do, like, I didn't think about it. But like I said, when you're writing a book, there are these things that you need to think about when you're self-publishing. And that was the whole point of this conversation: the layout, the editing, the cover,
everything.
The little nuances, Barnes and Noble and Amazon and all those places, and becoming a bestseller.
It was a lot to discuss in 30 minutes, an hour. There's so much more to keep discussing about. And I know the rest of the month you have other book people coming up. Like I mentioned, Troy's going to be on. Don't you have an editor as well coming up?
Well, I'm looking for an editor. I don't have that planned yet. But yeah, so Russ from Vision Idea Design today, who did the layout of my book, and Troy Reimer, who did the cover, is going to be on the Local Business Spotlight in 2 weeks. I'm also trying to put together a panel of people that have written books. And Russ, actually, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you live on Facebook if you want to be on my panel talking about your experience in writing your books.
Oh, which ones? I got lots of them. Yes, I would love to be a part of that.
So, but yeah, that's what I'm trying to do this month. But yeah, and anybody that's watching, if you have suggestions for people I should have on, please let me know, because I know a good number of people, but I don't know everybody. And if you have somebody that you think would be useful, definitely send them my way. And I know, Russ, you know a lot of people too. So let me know.
Yeah, I've helped out quite a few people just in this past 2 years, um, uh, in our circle and everybody we know, throughout the chamber, 1 million cups, um, Marvin's Round Table. It's a great thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I could just keep talking forever, but
I know.
we've gone over an hour. So maybe Russ will be on again at some point. But everybody, thank you for watching. If you're watching the replay of this and have any questions, type them in the comments, and Russ and I will get notifications of that, and we can try to answer that. And just stay tuned throughout the rest of the month. November is National Novel Writing Month. There's a lot of different theme days in November about writing. So just stay tuned to my page for updates about that, updates for the other local business spotlights and webinars. Oh, thank you.
I actually have a friend that's trying to do write their novel in November right now. They're trying to do 250 pages a day, and he's been hitting it. So it's a good November for him so far. Hopefully, I can help him out on the 30th when he's finished.
Well, that's quite a lofty goal. I was in a challenge this past summer. I was going to write a second book. Didn't happen. Nope. Maybe one day I'll write my second book, but first we got to focus on this one. And
let's keep this one rocking. You're doing a great job with this book. I love this book.
Did you read it?
Awesome.
Did you read the book?
No. No, I just made it pretty. No, actually I did. No, as you're going along, you can't help but read segments as you're going along. Mm-hmm. And so, like, when my son got his ticket a couple months ago, I'm like, and then Jean said in her book, and no, I've definitely used this, and I've definitely read it. It's invaluable, actually, especially the young teenagers, mm-hmm. like my son, just starting out. There's a lot of simple common sense that is in this book that people don't understand, mm-hmm. that he wasn't even aware of. And I like flipped open to chapter 3. I'm like, here. And I showed him simple things. He's like, and he's stressing. He's like, no, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Here, read this. So that's why I had to buy 2 copies. He bought me.
Oh, well, I need to sign them both. I should have given you one, Russ. You deserve a copy for doing the layout.
I'm glad to support you.
Well, thank you. And now I have to buy your books, but I lose more on that end because now I have to buy 5 and you only bought.
I know, mine are more expensive. Never mind.
All right.
One was $25, so yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not promising I'll buy all of them.
No. You don't have to. I'll give you a bundle discount.
Thank you. All right. Well, yeah, we could just keep talking. So
I know.
Well, and if you see the lighting, the sun was shining when we started this, and now it's getting dark outside.
I know. Now the TV is actually kind of working behind me because it was doing a weird glare. Oh, there's a glare.
Yeah, see, and my lighting is all messed up. You can't even see. This is a red shirt.
Oh, yeah, it was red when we started.
It still is red. You just can't see it. All right, Russ. Well,
all right, Jean.
We're going to go. I look forward to seeing you again at some point this month. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for helping me with the book, and thank you for buying the book. And thank you, everybody, for watching.
All right, see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.